Hey guys, tonight we begin with a deep dive into the hidden world of ancient imperial courts, exploring the often overlooked lives and incredible resilience of concubines. We will uncover the stark realities behind the opulent facades, revealing how these women navigated complex social hierarchies, court intrigues, and profound personal challenges, emphasizing their quiet strength, unexpected influence, and the enduring human spirit within a life defined by power and expectation. So, before you become a concubine, take a moment to like the video and subscribe if you enjoy our content. And let us know in the comments where you're watching from and what time it is. It's always a joy to see how many people from all over the world are ready for this journey. Now dim the lights, close your eyes, feel your body deeply relax, leaving the day behind. Forget who you are right now and let's begin your new life as a concubine tonight. Congratulations, you've just woken up in the year 850 AD, within the sprawling scented halls of an imperial harem. The good news, you're alive. The bad news, your life is no longer your own. Your bed is a silken mattress, far too soft, surrounded by embroidered screens and the lingering scent of jasmine and envy. There's no comforting familiarity, no personal space, and certainly no easy escape, just layers of heavy, perfumed silk and the unsettling quiet of a life now perpetually observed. You blink awake as the distant sound of gongs announces the dawn. It's the imperial version of an alarm clock, only more resonant and somehow even more demanding. Your new home is a gilded cage of interconnected rooms, no true privacy, and a charmingly intricate social order where every gesture, every whisper, every breath holds weight. The air, oh, it's a fragrant symphony. A subtle blend of expensive incense, exotic spices, and something you pray isn't the unspoken despair of 1,000 silent ambitions, but no, in your soul probably is. Personal freedom hasn't been invented, and even if it were, it's not for you. You try to stretch, but immediately regret it, because the weight of expectation already presses upon you, and your future stretches out like an endless, shimmering corridor. You're 18 years old, which in imperial terms is the peak of your bloom, and your spirit feels as fragile as the porcelain around you, yet you must move with the grace of a seasoned courtier. But let's gently drift back, beyond these silken walls and whispered expectations. Let us imagine a time before the gongs, before the jasmine, before this life that is not truly your own. Let us return to simpler days, to the rhythm of a life once lived, a life you might have forgotten, or perhaps a life you still dream of. Imagine, if you will, a small village nestled amongst rolling hills, where the morning mist still clung to the peaks of ancient green mountains. Your home wasn't a palace, but a sturdy dwelling of wood and packed earth, warmed by a hearth that always held the faint, comforting scent of wood smoke and simmering broth. Here, life moved with the sun and the seasons, a gentle, predictable dance that stitched itself into the very fabric of your being. Your days began not with the resonant clamor of imperial gongs, but with the softer, more natural symphony of roosters, crowing, distant dogs barking, and the rustle of the wind through the tall grasses. You'd rise before the sun, as did your mother, your father, and your younger brother, who always seemed to be in the way, but whose laughter was the sweetest sound in the world. You'd share a simple breakfast of warm rice porridge, perhaps with a handful of foraged berries or a thin slice of preserved vegetable, the taste of home grounding you for the day ahead. Your hands, once soft and untouched by the intricate beauty rituals of the court, knew the honest calluses of labor. They knew the smooth, cool feel of clay as you helped your mother shape pots for the market, your fingers nimble and quick, guided by generations of inherited skill. They knew the rough texture of straw as you braided mats and baskets, creating patterns that told stories of your ancestral land. You'd spend hours in the small family garden, feeling the rich, dark earth crumble between your fingers, planting seeds with a quiet hope for the harvest. Each droplet of water you carried from the communal well, each stalk of grain you helped gather from the sun-drenched fields, contributed directly to the collective survival of your family, your village. There was a profound, tangible reward for effort in this life, a direct connection between your hands and your sustenance, a truth the palace would never offer. The air here was pure and sweet, carrying the scent of pine forests from the nearby slopes, the freshly tilled soil after a spring rain, and the sweet, earthy aroma of drying herbs hung from the eaves. You could taste the clean, cool water from the mountain springs, unadulterated by rare teas or perfumed essences. Your food was simple, wholesome, and deeply satisfying. Bowls of steaming rice, seasonal vegetables harvested from your own patch, sometimes a small piece of salted fish or a lean cut of meat from the communal hunt. Every meal was shared around a low, worn table, a gathering of warmth and quiet conversation, a space where your voice, though soft and often deferential, was always heard and valued. Evenings were spent by the hearth, the flickering firelight casting dancing shadows on the mud brick walls. Your father, a man of few words but deep wisdom, would tell stories of ancestors, of local legends, of the spirits that guarded the nearby river and protected the crops. Your mother would mend clothes by the fire's glow, her needle a constant rhythmic whisper against the worn fabric, occasionally humming an old folk tune that spoke of love, loss, and the enduring cycles of life. You, perhaps, would practice your weaving, creating delicate patterns that reflected the wildflowers of the meadows or the flowing water of the stream. In these moments, there was a profound sense of belonging, of being an integral part of something larger, yet intimately connected to those around you. The world felt contained, safe within the village boundaries, a comforting sphere of existence. Your dreams then were as modest and clear as the mountain stream that flowed past your home. You imagined a future within this very village, perhaps marrying a kind young man from a neighboring farm, someone whose hands were as honest as yours, and whose laughter brought a simple joy to your heart. You envisioned raising children whose innocent shouts would echo through these same fields, a life of quiet dignity contributing to your community, growing old surrounded by the familiar faces and the enduring rhythms of nature. The grand aspirations of imperial courts, the pursuit of power or influence, were utterly alien concepts to your innocent mind. Your world was defined by the tangible, by the sun on your skin, the rich earth beneath your feet, the steadfast love of your family, and the simple, profound peace of belonging. Yet, even in this tranquility, there were hints of the world's larger, often harsher, realities. Whispers of the vast world beyond the village borders would occasionally filter in. Tales of the distant capital, a city of unimaginable splendor but also of unimaginable demands. Rumors of imperial decrees, of heavy taxes that sometimes threatened to break families, of occasional visits from stern government officials who spoke with an authority that brooked no argument. Sometimes, a passing merchant, his goods laden high on a cart, would speak of the emperor, a figure so remote and powerful he seemed more legend than man, a distant sun around which all lives revolved. You understood, implicitly, that the emperor's power touched every corner of the land, even your humble village, a silent, pervasive force. You knew that families, in times of great hardship, perhaps a failed harvest, or in moments of great, desperate ambition, might make choices that altered the course of a daughter's life irrevocably, but such thoughts were fleeting. Distant clouds on the horizon, too remote and too abstract to truly grasp. You were a flower of the common earth, nurtured by sunlight and rain, strong in your simplicity, entirely unaware of the unseen gardener who might one day decide to pluck you from your tranquil patch and transplant you into a hothouse of forced beauty and unseen shadows. Your life was defined by the tangible, by the warmth of the hearth, the scent of the fields, the shared meals, the sun on your skin, the earth beneath your feet, the love of your family, and the simple, profound peace of belonging. This was the before, the calm before the powerful, inevitable currents of destiny would gently, then irrevocably, pull you into a world you could never have conceived. A world waiting just beyond the familiar horizon. The tranquil rhythm of your village life, a melody played on the strings of earth and sky, was destined to be abruptly interrupted. For even in the quietest corners of the empire, the emperor's will was an unyielding force, a distant drumbeat that eventually echoed in every home. It began subtly, a shadow cast over the usual cheer of the harvest festival. Whispers spread, carried by traveling merchants and nervous tax collectors, of a new imperial decree. The court, it was said, required more women, not merely as servants, but as additions to the imperial harem. The selection, a daunting and often arbitrary process, was to sweep across the land, reaching even your humble district. Your family, like many others, found themselves caught in the tightening grasp of circumstance. A series of poor harvests had left your village teetering on the edge of hardship. The imperial taxes, once a burden, now threatened to crush you all. In such desperate times, ancient traditions, often dormant, resurfaced with an inescapable weight. The offering of a daughter, especially one as radiantly youthful and graceful as you, could sometimes alleviate the family's crushing debts, or even, though unspoken, secure a small measure of favor for the entire village. The day the imperial officials arrived was etched into your memory with a sharpness that time would never dull. The villagers, usually boisterous and welcoming, stood in hushed reverence, their eyes downcast. Their elaborate robes and stern demeanor spoke of an authority far beyond anything you had ever known. You stood amongst other young women, your heart a trapped bird fluttering wildly in your chest, your hands clasped so tightly your knuckles ached. You tried to appear unassuming, to blend into the crowd, yet a part of you, a part you barely understood, observed everything with a terrifying clarity. The officials moved with slow, deliberate movements, their gaze sweeping over each girl, evaluating, judging, sealing destinies with a single, dismissive glance or a pointed finger. And then, that finger paused. It pointed at you, a collective gasp, A ripple of both sympathy and relief spread through the crowd. Your mother's hand instinctively flew to her mouth, her eyes wide with a mixture of sorrow and a silent, desperate hope for your family's future. Your father's face was a mask of stoicism, but you saw the tremor in his hands, the deep lines of worry etched around his eyes. In that single, irrevocable moment, the simple future you had imagined, of fields and hearth and family, vanished like smoke, replaced by an unknown, terrifying destiny. The preparations were swift and disorienting. You were separated from your family with a heartbreaking finality. There were no grand farewells, just a tearful embrace from your mother, a gruff, whispered blessing from your father, and the bewildered, sad gaze of your younger brother, who didn't fully comprehend why his sister was being taken away. Your village clothes were exchanged for finer yet uncomfortable silks. Your practical braided hair was artfully styled by deft, unfamiliar hands. You felt like a stranger looking at your own reflection, a doll being dressed for a performance you didn't understand. The journey to the capital was a blur of sensory overload. You traveled in an enclosed, ornate carriage, its windows draped with heavy brocade, offering only fleeting glimpses of the world outside. The simple sounds of your village were replaced by the rhythmic clatter of hooves, the creak of the carriage, and the hushed murmurs of the accompanying guards in attendance. Day by day, the landscape transformed. The humble dirt paths gave way to wider, stone-paved roads. The occasional small settlements grew into bustling towns, then into sprawling cities, each more magnificent than the last. The air grew thicker with the scent of countless people, exotic foods, and expensive perfumes, a stark contrast to the clean, natural fragrances of your home. As you drew closer to the imperial city, the sheer scale of the world outside your village became overwhelmingly apparent. You passed through massive gates, guarded by soldiers in gleaming armor. The streets teemed with people of every station, their faces a kaleidoscope of expressions. Merchants hawked their wares with booming voices. Scholars hurried with scrolls tucked under their arms, and noble ladies, adorned in silks and jewels, were carried in elaborate palanquins. It was a world of unimaginable wealth and relentless activity, a world that made your village feel like a forgotten dream. And then, the palace. It rose from the heart of the city like a mountain carved from precious stone, its walls impossibly high, its roofs a dazzling array of gilded tiles that seemed to catch and magnify the sunlight. The sheer expanse of it was breathtaking, a city within a city, guarded by endless courtyards, towering gates, and a silent army of imperial guards. You were led through a series of increasingly grand entrances, each one more ornate than the last. The air inside the palace walls felt different, heavy with history, with power, and with the silent weight of countless lives lived within its confines. The vibrant colors of the outer world faded into the more subdued, yet infinitely more luxurious palette of the imperial interior. Silken banners adorned the high ceilings, intricate carvings graced every wall, and the floors were polished to a mirror-like sheen, reflecting the light from countless lanterns. Servants, dressed in identical uniforms, moved with quiet efficiency, their faces impassive. You saw other young women, some with eyes as wide and fearful as your own, others with a practiced composure that hinted at lessons already learned. Your initial glimpses were of overwhelming grandeur, but also of an unsettling silence. The vastness of the palace, meant to inspire awe, instead instilled a profound sense of diminishment. Here you were but a tiny ripple in a boundless ocean, a single note in a grand, complex symphony where your individual melody was already lost. The world outside, the world of sun-drenched fields and wood smoke, of family laughter and simple dreams, was now a receding memory, a distant shore from which you had irrevocably sailed. You were no longer the village girl. You were now just one of many, a new arrival, stepping into a world that would demand everything and perhaps offer nothing in return but the gilded bars of a golden cage. You find yourself now within the gilded confines of your new existence, a world spun from threads of silk and whispers of ambition. Your personal chambers, though small by imperial standards, would have been considered a king's ransom in your village. The air, perpetually warm and still, carries the heavy, sweet scent of orchid and sandalwood incense, mingling with the subtle floral notes of the perfumed oils used on your skin. Every surface gleams with a polished sheen, dark, lacquered wood, intricate mother-of-pearl inlays depicting serene landscapes or mythical creatures, and screens of delicate painted silk that offer visual beauty but no true privacy, only an illusion of separation. The floor is covered with thick, hand-woven carpets, sumptuously soft underfoot, silencing your steps, almost as if urging you to move without leaving any trace of your presence. Your bed, draped in layers of shimmering crimson and imperial yellow silk, is far too lavish for true comfort, a monument to luxury rather than a place of simple rest. Even the moonlight, filtering through the latticed windows seems to carry a different quality here. Softer, more refined, yet somehow colder, stripped of the raw, wild beauty it possessed over your village fields. You run a tentative finger over the intricate patterns on a lacquered chest, its surface smooth and cold, reflecting your bewildered gaze back at you. Everything here is exquisite, crafted with meticulous detail and expense, yet nothing feels truly yours. It is a beauty that holds you captive, a magnificent backdrop for a life that is no longer your own narrative, but a mere detail in someone else's grand tapestry, a living ornament. Your days unfold with a meticulous, almost ritualistic precision, governed not by the sun's natural arc, but by the unseen clockwork of the imperial court. The first light of dawn, heralded by the distant, resonant gongs that echo through the vast palace grounds, initiates a sequence of elaborate beauty rituals. You are attended by a personal maid, a young woman whose face rarely betrays emotion, her movements practiced, silent and efficient. Warm, fragrant water, infused with rose petals and milk, is poured into a large, polished copper basin for your bath. Your hair, once simply braided for practicality, is now painstakingly washed with scented essences, conditioned with exotic oils, and then artfully styled into intricate updos, adorned with delicate jade pins or shimmering pearls. Your skin is pampered with an array of creams and powders, your lips stained a subtle crimson hue, your eyebrows meticulously shaped to perfection. Each garment chosen for you is a masterpiece in itself. Layers of embroidered silk, satin, and brocade, in hues of emerald, sapphire, or deep plum, each thread a testament to countless hours of artisan labor. These clothes are breathtakingly beautiful, works of wearable art that transform your form, enveloping you in luxury. But they also feel like a costume, heavy and restrictive, a constant reminder of the role you're expected to play, the image you must uphold. You are molded, adorned, and perfected, not for your own pleasure or comfort, but for the discerning eye of the emperor, and for the silent, critical gaze of every other woman in this golden cage. There is a profound paradox in these rituals. The more exquisitely you are adorned, the more you realize your own self is being slowly obscured beneath layers of expectation and artifice. Your reflection, so utterly transformed, stares back at you as a beautiful stranger, a carefully crafted facade that bears little resemblance to the girl who once delighted in the earthy scent of drying herbs and the freedom of unadorned simplicity. After the morning rituals, your day might include lessons designed to cultivate courtly graces, perhaps calligraphy, where the delicate brush strokes demand absolute precision, each character a silent poem, a meditation on ancient wisdom, or the zither, its melancholic notes filling the air, teaching you the subtle language of courtly music and elegant expression. Sometimes it is the art of tea ceremony, a slow, deliberate dance of grace and tradition, where every movement holds ancient meaning, a quiet performance of refined civility. These are pursuits of refinement, designed to cultivate elegance and charm, but they also serve as a form of gilded confinement, filling your hours and diverting your thoughts from the world beyond the palace walls. There is no longer the honest, backbreaking labor of the fields, no shaping of raw clay, no weaving of natural fibers with calloused hands. Your hands, now soft and perfumed, learn new delicate skills, but a part of you yearns for the tangible, honest dirt of your past, for the simple purpose that came with physical work. Your interactions with others are equally orchestrated, following an invisible script. With your personal maid, the relationship is one of unspoken hierarchy, yet sometimes, in the quiet moments of preparation, a shared glance, a fleeting smile, might hint at a shared humanity, a silent understanding of your precarious predicament. You encounter other junior concubines during communal meals or shared lessons, their faces, like yours, often carefully composed, revealing little of their true thoughts or intentions. A forced politeness permeates every interaction, a delicate dance of smiles and veiled observations. You learn quickly to observe, to listen more than you speak, to discern the subtle currents of alliance and rivalry that flow beneath the surface of their serene expressions. Each woman is a potential friend or a potential rival, and the line between the two is as thin as the silken threads adorning your robes. There are whispered conversations about the emperor's last visit to another's chambers, subtle displays of newly gifted jewelry, or quiet mentions of a letter received from a powerful family member. These exchanges are often laced with unspoken meanings, revealing the constant low hum of competition for imperial favor, a competition you are now irrevocably part of, whether you wish to be or not. The concubines' quarters, for all their exquisite beauty, are a labyrinth of unspoken rules and constant surveillance. Every eunuch, every servant, every elder concubine could be an observer, a bearer of news, or a silent judge. There is no true solitude, no moment where you can fully shed the burden of your role and simply be yourself. Even in the most private corners of your room, the walls seem to listen, the air seems to hold its breath, imbued with the watchful eyes of the unseen. This constant awareness of being watched, of being evaluated, slowly erodes your innate sense of self, replacing it with a carefully constructed persona. You learn to smile when your heart aches with loneliness, to nod in agreement when you wish to argue or express dissent, to maintain a serene facade even when turmoil churns within. The golden cage is beautiful, yes, but its bars are made not just of gold and jade, but of unseen expectations, psychological pressures, and the ever-present knowledge that your freedom, your very identity, has been traded for a life of opulent confinement. You are a jewel in a magnificent setting, admired for your brilliance, but ultimately owned. And in the quiet moments, when the jasmine scent is particularly strong and the silks feel particularly heavy, you might catch a fleeting whisper in your own heart, a soft lament for the simple, unadorned freedom of the earth, a world now impossibly distant. The golden cage, as beautiful as it is, quickly reveals its intricate, unseen bars, the social hierarchy and unspoken rules that govern every breath within these palace walls. You're not merely living within a physical structure, you are navigating a living, breathing labyrinth of human ambition, fear, and carefully concealed desires. Each woman here, from the most favored to the most obscure, is an actor in a never-ending play, where the stakes are not applause, but survival itself. You learn to observe. It is the first, most crucial lesson, the way a senior concubine nods, or pointedly does not nod, in your direction. The subtle shift in a maid's demeanor when discussing another's recent good fortune. The hushed whispers that ripple through the corridors after a particular imperial visit. These are not idle gossip. They are vital pieces of a complex puzzle, indicators of the shifting currents of favor and disfavor, power and vulnerability. The air itself seems to hum with this constant undercurrent of observation, demanding your perpetual vigilance. There is a precise yet unwritten social order. At the pinnacle, of course, is the Empress, a distant, almost divine figure whose influence is unquestioned. Below her, the highest-ranking concubines, often older, more seasoned, or those who have borne the emperor's children, command their own retinues and territories within the harem. You, as a new arrival, are at the very bottom, a fresh blossom whose fate is yet to be decided. This hierarchy dictates everything: the quality of your silks, the size of your chambers, the number of your attendants, and most importantly, your proximity to the emperor's notice. The competition is a silent, elegant dance. It is not fought with swords, but with smiles, with poetry, with the delicate arrangement of flowers, with the quiet cultivation of influence. A newly gifted piece of jewelry, a rare silk fabric, a personal visit from the emperor's favored eunuch. These are not just tokens. They are declarations of status, subtle boasts, and sometimes veiled threats. You witness how some women meticulously cultivate their charms, dedicating hours to perfecting a musical instrument or composing poignant poetry, hoping to catch the emperor's ear. Others rely on family connections, their powerful relatives sending gifts and messages to keep their daughter in mind. And then there are those who seem to simply fade, overlooked and forgotten, their hopes wilting like unwatered blooms. Alliances, too, are formed, born not of genuine affection, but of strategic necessity. A younger concubine might seek the protection of an older, more established one, offering loyalty in exchange for guidance and a measure of safety from the predatory gaze of others. These bonds are fragile, however, susceptible to the slightest shift in imperial favor, capable of dissolving into rivalry at a moment's notice. You learn to weigh words, to gauge intentions, to trust sparingly, for misplaced confidence could lead to your downfall. A seemingly innocuous conversation could be a test, a compliment, a cleverly disguised trap. The art of survival here is the art of reading between the lines, of understanding the unspoken language of the court. The emperor himself remains largely a distant, almost mythical presence. He is the sun around which this entire world revolves, his light dictating life and shadow. Yet, for most concubines, direct interaction is rare. He is a force felt, not often seen. His visits are unpredictable, his preferences shifting like the wind. You hear tales of his temperament, of his fleeting affections, of the particular qualities that catch his eye: a sharp wit, a gentle demeanor, a talent for music, or simply a fresh, youthful beauty. Your entire existence becomes an exercise in preparedness, a constant low-level tension of hoping for and dreading his notice. To navigate this treacherous environment, concubines developed subtle strategies. Some mastered the art of invisibility, preferring to fade into the background, avoiding notice and thus avoiding potential rivalries. Their days were spent in quiet pursuits, finding solace in solitude or the company of trusted, low-ranking servants. Others became masters of diplomacy, fostering good relationships with key eunuchs and palace officials, understanding that influence often flowed through channels outside the emperor's direct gaze. They learned to offer small favors, to remember birthdays, to present meticulously chosen gifts that spoke of respect and deference. There were those who cultivated a reputation for serene beauty, others for their intelligence, and still others for their gentle, unthreatening nature. Each strategy was a shield, a tool for carving out a fragile space of peace and security in a world designed for contention. Your own inclination, perhaps, leans towards quiet observation, a natural reticence inherited from your village days. You learn to walk with purpose, but without drawing undue attention, to speak when spoken to, with carefully chosen words that betray no hint of a naive heart. You learn to listen to the advice of your personal maid, who, though bound by duty, sometimes offers quiet guidance gleaned from years of palace service. You learn to make your movements deliberate, your expressions composed, masking the fear and yearning that still stir within you. It is a constant performance, a carefully choreographed dance to avoid missteps in a court where even the smallest error can lead to a lifetime of regret, or worse, oblivion. This is the art of survival within the golden cage, a delicate balance of visibility and discretion, of ambition and humility, of cultivating connections while guarding your heart. It is a life lived on a knife's edge, where every dawn brings the quiet tension of an uncertain future, and every sunset offers a temporary, fragile reprieve from the intricate, unspoken demands of the imperial court. The lavishness that surrounds you is a constant reminder of the price of your confinement and the intricate social web, a constant reminder of the vigilance required to simply exist. Beyond the silken veils and the intricate dances of courtly survival, beneath the layers of carefully chosen silks and the facade of serene composure, lies the true sanctuary and torment of the concubine, her inner world, the landscape of her heart. For all the outward grandeur, the most profound experiences are often found in the quiet solitude of her own thoughts, where the whispers of unspoken desires and hidden sorrows echo most clearly. Here, in the soft twilight of her private moments, the heavy mantle of her role can, for a fleeting instant, be set aside. The constant vigilance demanded by the social hierarchy, the art of appearing unaffected, the endless performance, all momentarily recede, and in their place a profound loneliness often takes root, a quiet ache for the genuine connection that the palace, with all its opulence, simply cannot provide. You yearn for the uncalculated touch of a loved one, the simple, honest conversation of a friend, the shared laughter that needs no audience or ulterior motive. This yearning is a constant companion, a soft thrum beneath the surface of your polished existence, a reminder of the human warmth that feels impossibly distant. You remember the easy affection of your family, your mother's comforting embrace, your father's silent, steadfast presence, the playful jostling with your younger brother. Here, every interaction is filtered through layers of propriety and expectation. Even with your personal maid, the bond, though perhaps deepened by shared experiences and unspoken understanding, is still bound by the rigid lines of service and status. The genuine, unconditional love and acceptance that once defined your world are now a cherished memory, a faint echo in the grand, hollow halls of the palace. The suppression of personal desires and dreams is another heavy burden. The innocent aspirations of your village youth, a simple marriage, a family, a life rooted in the land, have been ruthlessly pruned, replaced by the dictated trajectory of imperial service. You're no longer permitted to dream for yourself, but only for the emperor's favor, for the possibility of bearing him a child, for a secure, if gilded, future within the system. Your own voice, your own will, once a quiet but firm presence, now feels muted, almost lost. There are days when a simple choice, what to wear, what to eat, where to walk, feels like an extraordinary luxury, a ghost of the autonomy you once took for granted. Yet, even in this constrained existence, the human spirit, resilient and yearning for light, finds its own small ways to flourish. There are rare moments of quiet joy, fragments of beauty that pierce through the surrounding artifice. Perhaps it is the unexpected shared smile with another junior concubine during a tedious lesson, a moment of genuine, unvarnished camaraderie that transcends rivalry, a silent acknowledgement of your shared predicament, or the gentle knowing glance from an elderly servant who has seen countless seasons pass within these walls, a silent reassurance that you're not entirely alone in your struggles. These are precious crumbs of connection, savored in secret, offering a brief respite from the emotional isolation. Solace is also found in personal pursuits, cultivated in the quiet hours when the palace settles into a hushed stillness. You might find yourself drawn to the delicate art of poetry, each brushstroke a silent conversation with your own heart, each character an outlet for the emotions you cannot outwardly express. The intricate beauty of a poem, its layers of meaning, offers a refuge for your mind, allowing you to create a world where your feelings hold sway. Or perhaps the melancholic strumming of a zither, its notes weaving a tapestry of sound that mirrors the quiet sorrow and longing within you, offering a catharsis that words cannot. The music becomes a secret language, a bridge to your inner self. There might be a hidden garden, a secluded corner of the vast palace grounds, where the wild beauty of nature is allowed a small, unkempt freedom amidst the manicured perfection. Here, surrounded by the scent of night-blooming jasmine and the rustle of bamboo leaves, you can sit and simply observe the world outside your cage, the flight of a bird, the changing light of the sky. In these moments, you connect with something ancient and untamed, a whisper of the natural world you left behind. The cool earth beneath your fingertips, the simple beauty of a dew-kissed petal, or the quiet strength of a gnarled tree trunk become anchors, grounding you in a reality beyond the palace walls. It is in these stolen moments of contemplation, of connection with beauty and truth, that you find small fragments of yourself, glimpses of the girl you once were, still flickering within the concubine you have become. These whispers of the heart, these small acts of self-preservation and quiet joy, are essential for maintaining your sanity, for nurturing the fragile flame of your identity. They are the secrets you keep from the court, the treasures you hold in the deepest chambers of your soul. For in a world where your outward self is constantly on display, constantly evaluated, it is your inner life, your emotional landscape, that remains truly your own. It is where you mourn, where you hope, and where you find the strength to continue one hushed breath at a time. The emotional breathing space, however small, becomes your most vital possession. A hidden garden where your truest self can still bloom, away from the demanding gaze of the golden cage. Even as you sought solace in the quiet chambers of your heart, cultivating an inner garden of resilience, the grand, intricate machinery of the imperial court continued its relentless turning. Your life, though largely defined by personal moments and internal struggles, was never truly detached from the larger currents of power that flowed through the palace. Unseen to the casual eye, a concubine, by her very existence, often cast subtle shadows into the political landscape, becoming sometimes unintentionally a delicate piece in a much grander game of influence and consequence. Consider, for a moment, the very fact of your presence here. You were chosen, perhaps, for your beauty, your demeanor, or even the subtle prestige of your family, however humble. And in this act of selection, a tiny thread of connection was spun between your family and the imperial court. Even a common family, having a daughter within the harem, could subtly gain a measure of indirect leverage, a whisper of influence. A request from your family, presented through the proper channels and perhaps subtly supported by a favored eunuch, might be heard with slightly more attentiveness than one from a family with no such connection. This was rarely a direct, overt power, but rather a quiet understanding. A nuanced advantage in a world where every advantage counted. Your mere existence, therefore, was a form of political capital, whether you wished it or not, a silent echo of your original lineage now amplified within the palace walls. The greatest, and perhaps most perilous, source of such indirect power often lay in the blessing of children, particularly sons. In a dynastic system, the birth of an imperial son was not merely a joyous personal event, it was a matter of state. A potential shift in the line of succession, a source of immense power for the mother. A concubine who bore a son could see her status elevated dramatically, her previously modest chambers transformed, her retinue expanded, her words, though still filtered, carrying significantly more weight. Her family, too, would rise in prestige, their fortunes often inextricably linked to their grandson's future. Imagine the silent expectations, the hopes, the fears that would swirl around such a woman. Her child, a tiny, innocent life, could inadvertently become a political pawn, a symbol of potential future power that could be both a shield and a target. The love for her child, a pure and untainted emotion, would have to coexist with the stark, cold reality of its political significance, a dual burden that few outside the imperial court could truly comprehend. Yet, this proximity to power, however indirect, was a double-edged sword, always fraught with peril. The court was a serpent's nest of shifting loyalties and jealousies. A concubine whose star seemed to be rising, whose child garnered too much imperial affection, could easily become the target of envy and intrigue. Rivals, fearing a loss of their own standing, might conspire, spreading rumors, fabricating accusations, or subtly undermining her position. A misstep, an unwitting offense, a word taken out of context, could lead to severe consequences: banishment to a remote corner of the palace, a sudden decline in favor, or even a more tragic, unremarked end. The emperor's affections, fleeting and unpredictable, were another source of danger. What was seen as favor one day could be perceived as overstepping the next. The very act of being noticed, of being close to the ultimate source of power, made one intensely vulnerable. It was a delicate dance on a precipice, where the air was thin and the footing uncertain. The emperor himself, remaining a distant, almost divine figure, was the ultimate arbiter of these fates. His moods, his preferences, his grand strategic decisions, all had ripple effects that could elevate or crush a concubine's life, often without his direct knowledge or intent. He was the sun, and all others were planets in his orbit, their existence defined by their distance and their reflection of his light. Your own emperor might, for example, have a particular affinity for poetry, elevating concubines who demonstrated such talent, or perhaps a preference for quiet contemplation, subtly favoring those who cultivated an aura of serene wisdom. These seemingly personal preferences, amplified by the vastness of his power, could become unspoken decrees, shaping the ambitions and strategies of every woman within the harem. For you, in your quiet introspection, the understanding of these shadows might have dawned slowly, like the subtle change of seasons. You might have witnessed the sudden decline of a concubine who once seemed favored, her laughter abruptly silenced, her luxurious silks replaced by simpler garments, her attendants reassigned. Or perhaps you heard hushed tales of another whose powerful family connections ultimately led to her downfall when political tides shifted, drawing her into a maelstrom she never sought. These observations would serve as quiet, unspoken lessons, reinforcing the need for extreme caution, for a deep understanding of the unwritten rules, and for an almost intuitive sense of when to be seen and when to remain in the background. The very air you breathed, though perfumed, was thick with these unseen currents of power. Even the most innocent interactions could be misinterpreted, the most private moments observed, and the most fleeting glances could carry weight. It was a constant reminder that your life, however personal your feelings and thoughts, was inextricably interwoven with the grand, often ruthless tapestry of imperial politics. And in this realization, a new layer of resilience was forged within you, a quiet strength born from the constant necessity of protecting your fragile inner world from the dangerous, encroaching shadows of power. The palace walls, so grand and seemingly eternal, nonetheless witnessed the relentless march of time. Seasons bled into one another, years piled upon years. And with each passing moment, the vibrant bloom of youth, so prized within these gilded confines, began its slow, inevitable fade. For you, the concubine, this passage of time brought with it a new, poignant layer of reflection, a quiet turning inward to ponder the whispers of the future, a future that once seemed distant and unimaginable, but now loomed with a growing, tangible presence. What became of a woman whose life was defined by youth and beauty once those qualities began to wane? This was a question that silently haunted many within the harem. The initial flush of attraction, the fleeting imperial favor, all felt transient, like petals scattered by a gentle breeze. You might watch older concubines, their once radiant faces now softened by age, their movements more sedate, their voices often holding a wistful quality. Some seem to have found a quiet grace in their diminished roles, settling into routines of contemplation or nurturing younger arrivals. Others, however, carried an air of forgotten dreams, their eyes reflecting a past filled with more promise than their present. The mirror, once a source of careful preparation and fleeting hope, now became a silent confidant, reflecting not just your outward appearance, but also the subtle etchings of time, the stories quietly accumulating around your eyes. If you were blessed with children, particularly sons, your future, though still uncertain, took on a different hue. The hope for legacy, for a continuation of your bloodline within the imperial family, became a powerful anchor. Your children were not merely extensions of yourself. They were vessels of your hope, your potential for enduring influence, a living testament to your purpose within the court. Every achievement of your child, every mark of imperial favor bestowed upon them, would be a source of quiet pride and a subtle reassurance for your own eventual fate. You would pour your love, your wisdom, and your carefully acquired knowledge of the court into their upbringing, striving to equip them to navigate the perilous waters of imperial succession. Their future was intertwined with yours, a delicate, precious thread. You might dream of them growing into powerful figures, capable of protecting you in your old age, ensuring a comfortable retirement far from the intrigues of the main palace. This was a form of delayed payoff, a hope that the sacrifices of your youth would yield a secure, dignified future through your progeny. But if fortune did not grant you children, or if your children did not thrive, the path ahead felt more tenuous, more solitary. The societal view within the concubine system was often unforgiving. A woman's value, beyond her youth and beauty, was largely tied to her ability to produce heirs. Without this, the whispers of irrelevance could grow louder, the threat of being forgotten more palpable. You might find yourself seeking purpose in other ways, in the mastery of an art form, in cultivating a renowned garden, or in becoming a trusted advisor to a younger, more impressionable concubine. These were quiet rebellions against a fate that sought to define you solely by your reproductive capacity, attempts to carve out meaning and agency in a world that offered little. The thought of a future devoid of family connection, of growing old alone in a distant wing of the palace, could bring a profound melancholic sadness. The various pathways for older concubines were as diverse and unpredictable as the emperor's moods. Some, fortunate enough to have powerful family connections or children who rose to prominence, might retire to elegant villas on the outskirts of the capital, living out their days in quiet comfort, perhaps tending to their own gardens. Far from the demanding rituals of the court, their lives would become a gentle reflection, a quiet harvesting of the peace they had sought for so long. Others, without such fortune, might remain in service within the palace, becoming respected elders, imparting their hard-won wisdom to newer generations, their influence born not of beauty, but of experience and knowledge. They would be the keepers of the palace's unwritten history, living encyclopedias of its intrigues and customs. Then there were those for whom aging brought a more somber fate, banishment to remote, desolate compounds, or quiet fading into obscurity within the deepest, most forgotten corners of the palace. Their once vibrant lives would simply dim, like candles extinguished by an unseen hand, their existence unremarked, their stories unheard. This possibility was a quiet, constant dread, a reminder of the fragility of status and the brutal efficiency of a system that discarded what it no longer deemed useful. In these reflections on the future, you often found yourself caught in an emotional trauma loop, a gentle yet persistent reevaluation of past choices and their long-term implications. Had you played the game wisely? Had you secured enough favor? Had you nurtured the right alliances? These thoughts were not frantic, but rather a slow, contemplative churning, a recognition that the seeds sown in your youth were now beginning to bear fruit, whether bitter or sweet. The perceived extended time of your life within these walls, stretching out for decades, meant that the consequences of early decisions resonated deeply, influencing the very landscape of your twilight years. You learned to find peace in the present moment, for the future, however pondered, remained ultimately outside your control. You might cultivate a quiet acceptance, a resignation born not of defeat, but of profound understanding. The dreams of your village youth, though long vanished, still held a faint, sweet resonance in your memory, a contrast to the complex tapestry of your current and future existence. Your destiny, shaped by forces far beyond your choosing, was a path you were compelled to walk, and with each passing year, the whispers of the future became clearer, guiding your internal compass towards a gentle, if often uncertain, acceptance of what was to come. You were learning to embrace the wisdom that came with time, finding strength not in control, but in quiet endurance. And so, the seasons turned, cycles of growth and decay mirrored in the grand, unchanging rhythms of the imperial court. The years, once vast and stretching infinitely before you, now began to fold in on themselves, each one adding another layer to the intricate tapestry of your life within the golden cage. You had arrived a fresh bud, full of the silent promise of youth. Now, the flower of your life had opened fully and gracefully, was beginning to mature, to take on the subtle, deeper hues of time. You watched as court changed, sometimes subtly, sometimes dramatically. Old empresses and high-ranking concubines, once formidable figures, would eventually pass on, their deaths marked by periods of official mourning that momentarily hushed the palace's usual hum. Their passing created vacuums, shifting alliances, and new opportunities for those who remained. New faces, as young and hopeful as you once were, would arrive, their eyes wide with awe and trepidation, just as yours had been. You saw in them a reflection of your past self, a poignant reminder of the journey you had undertaken, and a silent testament to the resilience you had cultivated. These younger arrivals brought with them the fresh scents of their homelands, the latest gossip from the outer provinces, and a new energy that momentarily stirred the ancient stones of the palace. The emperor himself, though still the distant son, also aged. His hair might have flecked with silver, his steps grown more deliberate. His preferences, too, might have evolved, perhaps favoring quiet companionship over youthful exuberance, or finding solace in the wisdom of those who had witnessed many years of his reign. You learned to perceive these subtle shifts, understanding that adapting to the changing currents of imperial taste was another key to navigating the delicate waters of your existence. Your own aging process was a quiet, internal dialogue. The meticulous beauty rituals, once focused on enhancing youthful radiance, now shifted to preserving a dignified grace. The delicate jade pins in your hair might be replaced by more understated, elegant ornaments, chosen not for their flash, but for their intrinsic beauty and subtle symbolism. You might find a quiet pleasure in the deep, rich colors of silks that spoke of maturity and composure, rather than the vibrant, attention-grabbing hues of your earlier years. Your hands, once soft, now held a delicate strength capable of both the elegant calligraphy lessons and the quiet strength of enduring. The lines around your eyes, once smooth, were now faint etchings of countless smiles, unspoken sorrows, and years of careful observation. Each one a testament to a life deeply lived, however confined. The physical environment, too, seemed to age with you, yet remained eternally grand. The same exquisite gardens bloomed and faded with each season. The same intricate carvings graced the walls, the same incense wafted through the corridors. But now you knew every hidden path, every secluded bench, every ancient tree whose roots ran deep into the palace grounds. These familiar spaces, once overwhelming, became comforting, like old friends who had witnessed your journey. The rustle of bamboo, the distant murmur of water features, the whisper of the wind through the eaves. These sounds were no longer just ambient noise, but a familiar soundtrack to your enduring life. A rhythmic callback to the passage of countless days within these walls. For those concubines who were fortunate, the whispers of the future, once mere possibilities, gently materialized. Some, indeed, with children who had found favor or risen to positions of influence, were granted leave from the demanding daily life of the inner palace. They might retire to elegant, sprawling villas on the city's outskirts or in the serene countryside, places where they could at last cultivate their own gardens, spend their days in quiet contemplation, or perhaps dedicate themselves to religious study. Here, far from the constant scrutiny and subtle rivalries, they could finally shed the heavy mantle of their role, living out their later years in a hard-won peace, surrounded by the comfort of space and the gentle rhythms of nature. This retirement was not merely an ending, but a new beginning, a final precious reward for a lifetime of service and endurance. Their legacy, secured through their children, allowed them a gentle fade from the immediate political scene into a valued, respected quietude. Others, who may not have had children or powerful family backing, found their purpose by remaining within the imperial service. They evolved into respected elder concubines, figures of quiet authority and immense wisdom. Their once active pursuit of imperial favor transitioned into a role of guidance and mentorship for the younger generations. They became the living repositories of palace history, the unwritten rules, the subtle nuances of court etiquette, and the often perilous dynamics of influence. Their quiet advice, their calm presence, their understanding eyes became invaluable to new arrivals navigating the treacherous social currents. They knew when to offer a reassuring word, when to share a cautionary tale, and when simply to listen, their lives now dedicated to maintaining the delicate balance and traditions of the harem. They lived a life of continued service, but one imbued with a different kind of power, a power born of experience, resilience, and a deep, empathetic understanding of the concubine's journey. And then there were those whose destinies unfolded with a quiet, unremarked simplicity. They might fade into the deeper, less frequented wings of the palace, their chambers becoming smaller, their attendants fewer, their daily routines more solitary. Their lives, though not marked by banishment, slowly dimmed like a lamp running low on oil. Their names might be forgotten by the newer generations, their stories absorbed back into the grand, indifferent history of the court. Their eventual end, often peaceful, would pass without grand ceremony, a quiet transition from one state of being to another, a gentle return to the earth, much like the wildflowers in your original village. This was the most common fate, a quiet dissolution into the vast, impersonal machinery of the palace, their human experience becoming a subtle, almost imperceptible whisper in the long corridors of time. In witnessing these diverse trajectories, your own sense of what constituted a fulfilled life subtly transformed. The youthful yearning for grandeur or high favor was replaced by a deeper appreciation for inner peace, for quiet dignity, and for the enduring strength of the human spirit. The cyclical nature of power and beauty, the rise and fall of individuals against the backdrop of an eternal empire, became a profound lesson. You learned that true value lay not in the fleeting external adornments or the transient favor of an emperor, but in the unwavering resilience of the soul, in the small acts of kindness, and in the quiet wisdom gleaned from a life uniquely lived. The journey was not about the destination, but about the profound, often arduous path you had traversed, accumulating a quiet strength with every passing year. This was the long passage of time, a narrative not of climaxes and grand victories, but of sustained endurance, of gentle adaptation, and of the quiet, profound unfolding of a human life within the elegant, demanding walls of the golden cage. Each day, each season, each year, added to the unspoken wisdom. weaving a rich, intricate tapestry of experience that, in its own way, was as magnificent as the palace itself. Even as the grand machinery of the imperial court continued its ceaseless turning, and the passage of time etched its silent stories upon its ancient walls. Within you, the concubine, something deeper, more enduring, had taken root. It was the quiet, unwavering strength of the human spirit, a resilience forged not in overt battles, but in the subtle, daily acts of adaptation, understanding, and finding meaning in a world that often sought to strip it away. You had arrived in this palace, a delicate blossom, vulnerable to every gust of wind, every harsh sun, yet, through years of navigating its intricate pathways, its gilded cages, and its unseen shadows, you had transformed. You were no longer merely a blossom, but a resilient tree whose roots ran deep into the earth of your own being, unshakable by the superficial storms of courtly intrigue. This endurance, this quiet triumph, was not celebrated with gongs or imperial decrees, but lived within the sacred confines of your own heart. You learned the profound lesson of adaptability. Like a reed bending with the wind rather than breaking against it, you learned to adjust, to observe, to discern the subtle currents, and to flow with them rather than against them. This wasn't weakness. It was an intelligent strength, a form of wisdom gleaned from countless seasons of survival. You adapted to the changing preferences of the emperor, to the rise and fall of various factions, to the arrival of new, ambitious concubines. Each adaptation was a quiet victory, a testament to your inner fortitude, ensuring your continued place within the intricate tapestry of the court. This subtle art of living, of enduring, of finding a way forward became your most valuable skill. Meaning, too, blossomed in unexpected places. What once seemed like confinement now sometimes felt like a canvas upon which you could paint small, deliberate acts of purpose. Perhaps you found solace in a quiet sense of contribution in mentoring a younger concubine, sharing your hard-won wisdom, guiding her through the treacherous initial days, helping her find her own footing. Your words, once guarded, now carried the weight of experience, offering comfort and insight where once there was only fear. You might have found a deep, abiding satisfaction in perfecting a piece of calligraphy, each stroke a meditation, a connection to ancient beauty and inner peace. Or perhaps in the meticulous care of a small hidden garden, a personal sanctuary where life could grow unchecked, mirroring the quiet growth within your own soul. These small acts, seemingly insignificant in the grand scheme of the empire, became the anchors of your daily existence, infusing your life with a quiet, profound purpose that transcended your given role. The grand, indifferent machinery of the court, with its endless protocols and its pursuit of power, often felt overwhelming. But within this vastness, you discovered an inner peace, a calm cultivated over years of quiet observation and gentle resilience. This peace was not a gift bestowed by the emperor, but a treasure unearthed from within your own spirit. It was the peace of acceptance, of understanding the limits of your control, and of embracing the boundless strength of your inner self. You learned that true freedom wasn't found in escaping the palace walls, but in liberating your mind and spirit from its demands. You found peace in the rhythm of the seasons, in the simple beauty of a sunrise over the palace roofs, in the quiet camaraderie of a trusted servant, in the internal world you had so meticulously cultivated. Your vulnerability, once a source of fear, transformed into a quiet strength. You had faced loneliness, longing, and the constant threat of irrelevance, yet you had not broken. Instead, these challenges had refined you, polishing the rough edges of your spirit, revealing the luminous core of your being. This rewarded vulnerability meant that the moments of genuine connection, however rare, felt all the more precious, all the more real. A shared glance with another concubine who understood the unspoken weight of her life, a kind word from an elderly eunuch who saw beyond the silks and the title. These small affirmations became profound affirmations of your shared humanity. This journey, though marked by constraint, ultimately led you to a profound confirmation of the human spirit's extraordinary power to endure and find meaning. You were not defined by the golden cage, but by the echoes of resilience within it. Your life, a tapestry woven with threads of challenge and quiet triumph, became a testament to the enduring capacity for inner peace and wisdom, even in the most demanding of circumstances. This was your triumph, a testament to the quiet strength that bloomed in the most unlikely of places. And now, as the fragrant shadows lengthen across the ancient courtyards of the imperial palace, and the last echoes of a concubine's long, intricate life gently fade into the vast tapestry of time, let us softly draw back from this immersive journey. We step away from the shimmering silks and the whispered intrigues, from the lavish confinement and the subtle battles for survival, and return to the quiet, comforting space of our own reflection, carrying with us the gentle, yet profound weight of her extraordinary experience. We have wandered through a life defined by circumstances almost unimaginable to our modern minds. A life that began with the simple, earthy rhythms of a village, the comforting scent of wood smoke, the honest feel of rich, dark soil between nimble fingers, the unburdened laughter of family echoing through fields, and transitioned irrevocably into the complex, gilded, and often isolating existence of the imperial harem. We followed her journey from youthful innocence, through the bewildering grandeur and psychological confinement, to the seasoned wisdom forged by decades within what we've come to know as a golden cage. And in doing so, we've touched upon universal truths that resonate far beyond the ancient walls of any palace. Truths about the human spirit's unwavering capacity to adapt, to endure, to seek beauty, and to find light even in the deepest, most artfully concealed shadows. Think of the delicate balance she had to maintain, a constant silent dance between outward conformity to rigid imperial protocols and the fierce, almost desperate preservation of her inner self. The societal constraints imposed upon her were immense, an invisible hand guiding her every step, defining her very role, limiting her most basic choices, and often demanding the ruthless suppression of her personal desires and the simple, uncomplicated dreams she once held so dear. Yet, we saw how, through quiet acts of resistance, a stolen moment of creative expression in poetry, the profound solace found in the wild, untamed beauty of a hidden garden, or in fleeting moments of genuine unspoken connection with another soul who understood her plight, she meticulously carved out precious pockets of autonomy. Her dignity was not found in grand declarations or overt rebellion, for such acts would have been perilous and futile. Instead, it resided in the steadfastness of her spirit, in her unwavering ability to maintain a cherished sense of self amidst a world that constantly sought to reshape her into a living ornament, a mere object of imperial will. Her quiet perseverance, her inner strength, speaks volumes across the centuries, a testament to the enduring power of self in the face of immense external pressures. Her journey, deeply human and profoundly resonant, invites us to reflect on the very nature of resilience itself. It was not a flamboyant defiance nor a desperate overt struggle, but a quiet, persistent strength, like a hidden spring beneath the earth, always flowing, always finding a path forward, even when the surface seems unyielding. She learned to read the unseen currents of power with an acute sensitivity, to navigate the intricate social labyrinth of the court with a quiet grace, and to find purpose, however small, in the most unexpected corners of her gilded prison. Whether through raising children who carried her hopes and dreams into the next generation, through the meticulous cultivation of an art form that allowed her spirit to soar, or through becoming a silent fount of wisdom and comfort for younger, more bewildered arrivals, she found profound ways to leave an indelible imprint, to contribute, to matter in a world that often sought to render her anonymous. Her life, though outwardly marked by profound constraint and the loss of personal freedom, ultimately became a testament to the enduring power of the human heart to seek meaning, to foster connection, and to bloom, no matter the external pressures or the seemingly insurmountable barriers. This is a story not of grand conquest, but of quiet, profound endurance, a triumph of the spirit. We witnessed how time, the ultimate sculptor, worked upon her, subtly changing not just her physical form, but the very landscape of her spirit, how the vibrant flush of youth inevitably faded, how priorities shifted from seeking fleeting external favor to cultivating a lasting inner peace. The cyclical nature of imperial power, the rise and fall of countless individuals and factions, the constant influx of new faces, and the quiet departure of old, all served as a profound, ongoing lesson. It taught her that true value lay not in transient external adornments or the shifting, unpredictable favor of an emperor, but in the wisdom accumulated through experience, in the quiet strength cultivated through adversity, and in the dignity maintained throughout a life uniquely and often difficultly lived. Her experiences offer a gentle reminder that every life, however seemingly restricted or predetermined its path, holds within it the potential for profound growth, for a deep and quiet resilience that transcends the boundaries of its immediate circumstance. It's a testament to the enduring light within the human soul, a light that no cage, however golden, can ever truly extinguish. As we gently ease back into our own present moment, leaving behind the jasmine-scented air, the echoing gongs, and the distant shimmering grandeur of the imperial palace, let us carry with us a renewed sense of understanding and a deeper empathy, a quiet appreciation for the intricate tapestry of human experience woven across all time and circumstance. Her story is a poignant whisper from the past, reminding us that the capacity for dignity, for resilience, for deep compassion, and for finding profound meaning resides within us all, waiting patiently to be acknowledged, cherished, and perhaps even cultivated. It is a calming reflection on the enduring human spirit, a testament to the quiet, powerful strength that blooms in the most unlikely of places, transforming even a golden cage into a crucible of wisdom and grace. Allow this deep journey to settle softly within you, to deepen your own sense of inner peace, and to offer a serene understanding of the quiet, powerful strength that lies within the human heart. A strength that allows us to navigate our own worlds, however complex, with grace and unwavering spirit. Let the echoes of her resilience guide you towards your own tranquil rest. A calm and knowing peace, knowing that even in the most challenging lives, there is profound beauty and an enduring, unbreakable strength. And now, as the gentle echoes of her remarkable life settle within you, let us slowly drift towards a profound sense of peace. You have journeyed through centuries, through the opulent halls and quiet corners of a world long past, gaining a deeper understanding of resilience, dignity, and the enduring human spirit. This journey, like all profound reflections, is a gift, a soft whisper guiding you towards tranquility. If this exploration has offered you a moment of calm, a deeper insight, or a gentle path towards rest, I invite you to share that peace with others. A simple gesture from you can illuminate the path for someone else seeking solace. By liking this video, you help guide this calming narrative to others who might also need a moment of quiet understanding and a gentle journey into sleep tonight. Think of your as a soft guiding light, leading others to this shared space of contemplation and peace. And if you wish to continue exploring these rich, immersive narratives, to find more paths to serene sleep and deeper reflection, I invite you to become a cherished member of our community of sleepers. Subscribe to this channel. It's more than just a click. It's an act of commitment to your own well-being, a promise to yourself to nurture your inner peace. By subscribing, you join a growing family of souls who value tranquility, wisdom, and shared moments of restful escape. You ensure you won't miss our future journeys, our next explorations into worlds that offer solace and understanding. As we prepare to bid you good night, remember the quiet strength we've witnessed, the profound resilience that blooms in the most unexpected of circumstances. This story, in its own gentle way, is a testament to the enduring human heart. Now, for those of you who have journeyed with us to this very end, those rare, dedicated souls who seek the deepest forms of understanding and peace, there is a special phrase I invite you to share in the comments below. It's a secret whisper, a quiet acknowledgement between us. Type these words: golden cage, resilient heart. When I see this phrase, I will know you're one of the dedicated few, a true member of our community who embraced the full depth of this historical slumber. It's a quiet testament to your presence, a shared secret. Allow the gentle music to envelop you now, a soft lullaby to guide you further into the realms of restful sleep. Let the images and reflections of our journey fade softly, leaving behind only peace and a deep sense of calm. Until our next shared journey, may your nights be filled with profound rest and your mornings with renewed spirit. Good night. Rest deeply.